Hey guys, I'm Nick. Welcome to the Omniverse of Nick's next Scream story. What if Roman Bridger survived? Now, before we get started, be sure to check out the Omniverse's About tab and homepage so you don't miss anything for the Omniverse's future, along with smashing the like button and subscribing to the Omniverse of Nick. With all that said, let's get started. So, for those not familiar, Roman Bridger was a Scream 3 villain and Ghostface, and it was revealed that all three movies leading up to his appearance were specifically orchestrated by him. So, Stu, Billy, and all of it. And it was all because Maureen Prescott denied him. And so, Sydney, he was going to make sure that he got revenge on somebody. And that somebody was Sydney Prescott. And it tied so well with him revealing how he had this whole plan set up for years and years and years, and how he was the mastermind, down to literally trying to just screw with Sydney's head. It was just freaking insane. But in the end, no matter how superhuman he was with his voice changer and everything that he did, he was killed at the end of Scream 3. Now, this, to have a mastermind who was always there die, even as a superhuman, it just makes you think, what if he didn't? What if Roman Bridger actually got something bigger? Because we got a notice that Scott Foley, Roman Bridger, was going to return in the latest film, Scream 7, coming this February. But unfortunately, Scott Foley said himself, unlike Stu, Dewey, and everything like that, confirmed also that his role was so small that it's basically confirmed that he's not actually coming back to life. So it's likely going to be a dream or a hallucination or just like a flashback or something, which means that Roman truly is dead. And this also means that the door is open for a survival story. So, what I'm going to do is just what I did for Jill Roberts. I am going to put him in Scream 7. And, unlike the Jill one, since we finally have more information regarding the Scream 7 movie, I am going to very much so connect as much of Scream 7 to a Roman story as humanly possible. So let's dive in. We get into Scream 7 and the plot place where it's going to take place, Pine Grove, Indiana. The movie opens up with Tara answering the phone from Ghostface, just like she did in Scream 5. And soon enough, Sam fights ferociously and just brutally at the beginning, seeing that her sister is dying. She's actually dead. She's going to die, and there's nothing she can do. So, when she realizes that Tara is not going to be able to be fixed, survivable, or like helped this time, Sam fights till she just can't do it no more. But no matter how brutal she is, no matter if she's Billy Loomis's daughter or not, it's not enough. The ghost face just stares at her and Tara on the ground menacingly. And with a very creepy, dark orange and black silhouetted background symbol for Ghostface, he says, "Now it's time to deal with the real threat." And Sydney gets a call just like she does in the trailer. And it's Ghostface saying basically everything that he says to her in the trailer to her about her neighborhood, her pretty daughter, and about how he's not hiding anymore. And this visibly concerns Sydney because she feels like for the first time in a long time, the ghost face is actually directly at her, which means only one thing. And she realizes it too late. Her daughter and her husband, they're visiting Woodsboro, which means Tatum and Mark are in danger. And we see them both at Stu's house, just like the trailer, and Tatum falling down and getting stabbed by the ghost face. And then afterwards, Mark Evans gets brutally murdered trying to fight Ghostface. Now, don't give me that look. There's going to be a reason why I'm immediately killing off Mark Evans. And no, it's not because I prefer Mark Kincaid, but it is slightly the reason. You'll see. So, Sydney arrives, just like in the trailer, by the ambulance and seeing the house taped up and everything like that. And then she gets another call from Ghostface saying, "You shouldn't have meddled in so many affairs. You shouldn't have always been the problem. You've always been the problem, Sydney. And it's only taken me until now to realize it. It was never about Maureen Prescott. It was never about Gail, Dewey, your daughter, even your dead husband. It has always been about you. And now I'm gonna burn it all down." And while everybody recovers, rests, hides back in Pine Grove, Indiana, and figures things out, this call is going on, and when Ghostface says it, the line disconnects, and Stu's house is completely burned down, with Ghostface walking very, very cinematically out of the house. So just like the trailer. Sydney knows that even if Tatum is by her friend's side and with family, and even if her husband's dead and everything, there is still so much danger, especially because her husband's dead. And now she is the lone parent, frickin' trying to protect Tatum and her other kids. And just in general, this feels deeply personal and very much so frightening. So Sydney tells Tatum she is going to try to get the help of Gail and anybody else she can, because this Ghostface will not stop, even if they are hidden like this. So they need all the help they can get. Tatum says she'll be fine. Her mom has to trust her. And Sydney sooner or later realizes that Sam and Tara are dead. And she tells Tatum, "You have no idea what being careful means now. But you're my daughter, so I hope that you're finally starting to realize." And yeah, I think that Tatum gets the hint after especially being stabbed and seeing her dad die. And then Sydney and Gale reunite after 2 movies. And they basically have a conversation about everything they've been through, discuss Ghostface's intentions and who he could possibly be if there's more than one, and then Gale said, "Let's go catch this effer," just like the trailer. Then, Chad and Mindy. And with this, Sydney gets another call from Ghostface. And she says, "If you hurt her," Ghostface says, "I'm not going to hurt her. Not until you're here to see it." Basically, what he says in the trailer. And now Sydney knows Tatum is in grave danger. And then she has a discussion to her, like in the trailer. Sorry if I'm using the trailer a bunch. The movie's not out. And if I want to make this as good as Scream 7, gotta use as much of the trailer as possible, along with a very much fan based line, just like Jill's story, but much more so based for Scream 7, obviously. And she tells Tatum to shoot him through the wall, which she does, but she doesn't in the head. Then she gets attacked. Sydney finally gets back. Ghostface is about to kill Tatum, but then Mindy comes to the rescue. Chad punches Ghostface and comes to the rescue, but Ghostface throws a knife at both of them, or at least Chad. Then Gale tries to attack, but Ghostface just slams her against the wall. And then when Sydney comes in, Ghostface just slaps her to the ground as he's running away. And the two have a very, very dark, staring moment before Ghostface runs away. And then Sydney gets another call from Ghostface. Says that you and me are going to settle this once and for all, Sydney. As I said, you have always been the problem. And you've always made people close to you die or follow you along like puppies on a leash. And look at what has happened to all of them. Exactly. Who was your daughter named after again? Oh, that's right. Your old friend who got smashed by a garage. Ever wonder if you could have been able to save Randy or Dewey? You and me are settling this. Come to the location marked for you. I bet that it's very familiar. And if it's anything that should show you what happened to Stu's house, it means that you had better come alone. Or I will really give your children and you something to mourn and cry about. And Sydney knows that this Ghostface, unlike any other, is dead freaking serious. So, Sydney, she doesn't really care and knows that she cannot fight this Ghostface alone like she has before. It's just not going to work. Not anymore. And Gale doesn't allow it either. Tatum, she wants to go. Chad and Mindy are coming along, and Tatum says what she said to Sydney in the trailer, "I want to be a fighter like you." And it goes into a much deeper speech whenever she's talking to Sydney about going and doing this. And they also enlist the help of Kirby, who's still around. So, Sydney, Gale, Chad, Mindy, Tatum, and Kirby all go for a true final confrontation with the most brutal Ghostface they've ever faced. Ever. And it's at an abandoned, run down, and very familiar mansion setting where we will see what happens, who the Ghostface is, if there's more than one, and how the story will end in part 2 and the finale next. Hey guys, Nick here. Welcome to the Omniverse of Nick's next Scream story finale, two-parter. What if Roman Bridger survived? before we get into it, be sure to check out the Omniverse's About tab and homepage, where you will get to see everything that the Omniverse has to offer, along with smashing the like button and subscribing to the Omniverse of Ning. With all that said, let's begin. So we open up where we ended off last time. Everybody is going to a very familiar setting, although it's abandoned, run down, and liable for serious danger, much more so than they saw all those years ago, especially new faces. Then we get a scene like the trailer where Sydney and Tatum are hiding in the wall and get stabbed and everything. Kirby is trying to fight, but she and Chad and everybody else get attacked by another Ghostface, and Chad's seemingly about to die, but Mindy comes in for the save, allowing Chad to get back up and put whatever fight he has left into getting the Ghostface. Then Kirby pulls out her gun successfully and targets at the Ghostface, telling him to remove his mask. So he does, and everybody is surprised. Stu Mocker is the Ghostface, and he recalls his entire long journey up until this point of miraculously surviving his wounds and the TB. How he had to go through so much to make any sort of full recovery, and now he finally gets to get his revenge. And he says, "I always come back." And then he's like, "Oh, that line sounds familiar." Teasing a Five Nights at Freddy's, basically. Tatum fights with everything she's got against the other Ghostface, but Ghostface is far too strong. Sydney gets Ghostface with a bunch of gunshots and her own combat, and she now sees, "Your plan has been stopped. You should have known that I wouldn't be coming here alone. Not anymore. The games between you and me are over." So, she says, with Ghostface not having another option, "Unmask yourself and face me like the killer and fighter you think you are." And when he unmasks himself to be Roman, with a red scar on his head, indicating from all those years ago getting shot there, but not dying. The bullet more or less scraped and almost went through his head, but he was able to avoid death by just a mere millimeter. Sydney cannot believe that Roman's alive, but then again, everything is hinted towards this Ghostface being more personal and more driven than every other. She should have seen something like Roman coming from a mile away. And Roman says, "Sydney, did you really expect it to be anybody else? Do you have any idea what it's like to go through your entire life not wanted? To go through your entire life feeling like you're nothing in this world? To almost escape death? To find any kind of opportunity to get back at the ones and one that tried to ruin everything for you? Yeah, you guys didn't kill me. But, like my friend and my partner, you almost got off easy. But now, you're the ones, especially you, Sydney, that aren't going anywhere alive. Not this time." And Sydney puts two and two together and says, "Partner? Alive?" And then it clicks for her, especially hearing on the other side of the mansion, "No, it can't be." And before Sydney could try to guess or even like fully point out the answer, is like, "You didn't think that a simple TV and a few little shots to his stomach were going to kill him. If your bullets, stab wounds, and a shard of a bullet to my head didn't kill me, did you? Didn't you learn from your old friend, what was his name? Randy. The killers are always superhuman. So now, we are going to do what we should have done to you separately and together this whole time. And they both stay on separate sides of the mansion, as Roman is the one who got Stu and Billy together, and it's coming a full circle rivalry and partner moment. We're gonna burn it all down. And before anybody knows it, Roman's whole mansion and the outside skirts and everything is instantly caught ablaze. And Chad is killed. Mindy is stabbed fatally, tries to fight back, but she is fatally killed. Kirby is finally killed after surviving 4, 6, and coming to an end in 7. Gail fights with everything she's got, and she almost dies. She's near death. Roman gets Sydney in a firm chokehold, not planning on letting go this time. He made that mistake once. He's not making it again. Tatum is too hurt to try to put up a fight, but she wants so badly to help. Just then, 3 bullets ring out, and they hit Stu, killing him within contact. Sydney manages to get a stab on Roman, but Roman places her in an even firmer chokehold. And he says, "Now, Sydney, my sister, say hi to your mom for me. Oh, Billy and Stu. Oh, everybody else that you damned to death, along with almost me." And boom! A gunshot rings out, and Roman is killed. 2 figures emerge. One is a surviving Dewey Riley, and 2 is Mark Kincaid. Sydney cannot believe that Mark Kincaid is here and that Dewey is alive, but she's more focused on Mark at the moment. Mark says he heard about what happened to Sydney's husband, ironically another Mark, and he remembers with how they talked, with how they interacted, and what was going on between them all those years ago whenever Roman actually appeared. So he had to come back, and it just became too much. He needed to save Sydney. He knew something was going to go on. He had never stopped with his whole FBI and doing all that stuff. He had just been at a far distance after Sydney saved him and everything like that. And then, after Sydney is ironically very happy to see another Mark, Gail and Sydney both have to process that Dewey is alive. And Dewey and Gail speak mainly after Dewey says a very tearful hi to Sydney and everybody else around, even though, the Mindys and the Meeks and Kirby are dead. You still got Tatum, Sydney, and Gail, so all of them have to process the fact that Dewey is alive. And he says to Gail, "I survived multiple stab wounds to my back before, Gail. Getting hit multiple times in the head with blunt objects. You didn't think that Amber, that girl, was going to kill me off that easily. But I got to admit, that was the closest to death that I ever felt in my life. And I actually thought I was going to lose you and myself. But once I heard about everything and finally got to a full recovery, how I almost lost you after I thought I lost myself and you, I had to find a way. So I found Mark, and we came here as soon as we heard all about the news, and here we are." And Sydney looks down at Roman and Stu's dead bodies, and she thinks about a universe where her family could have been a more peaceful family, not just if her mother was alive, but Jill and Roman, the 2 main siblings and family members that turned against her and became maniacal killers. And She sees in a visualized mirror and kind of hallucination memory of herself Roman as what he became up till this point, and a much darker, different version of Jill. Jill Roberts' survival story teaser. And it just goes to show sometimes family is cursed to live an evil life. And it's up to people like Sidney Prescott to stop that from ever stopping her.
So, that ends Roman Bridger's rebirth in the Scream franchise. So, what I was thinking about for this one was different than how I originally planned it. In truth, I didn't think that I was actually going to pull in Scream 7. And honestly, whenever I put this in, Scream 7 hadn't even been announced yet. But I did think about doing it, kind of. And then I was surfacing towards the time of making it, and it just became clearly obvious this is what I should do. Now, in the Jill Roberts story, I specifically made McKenna Grace's character also, involved as being one of Sydney's other kids, which we still don't know yet. She was supposed to be Tatum, but Isabel May is the one who's Tatum. So, what I more or less did was just make Sydney's only child shown yet in the franchise relevant to the absolute max that I could, leaving the other ones, like McKenna Grace and, like, the toddler or whatever, as side characters. Ones that haven't really, made it to the screen yet, as per a trailer, or February 27th, whenever Scream 7 releases. And I went the whole Mark Evans thing just to more or less kind of get him out of the way and make Mark Kincaid relevant, not just because he's the better freaking Mark we always wanted, so no offense to Joel McHale, but it was also a way to make kind of a finish to a rivalry, if you really think about it. Think about it for a second. Mark Kincaid had much story that could have been told. And getting rid of it all the way up until Scream 7, we thought we were going to get the finishing touches only for it to be nulled down. Heck, it's not even out yet and we could still get surprised. But I decided to go the Mark Kincaid route to finish up the fight with Roman. And I brought in Stu because, come on, it's dead obvious Stu Macher's coming back. Like, come on now. And also, Scream 7 was the best field of choice because if all these characters that we're supposedly getting back are just either hallucinations, dreams, or voice changers, then that means Roman's more heavily involved in Scream 7 than we're all thinking, especially since his own actor Scott Foley as Roman Bridger is coming back in the smallest of roles, making this story the true canon of him surviving. So it's likely we're getting a hallucination or a dream sequence, sort of like Billy Loomis. Overall, getting rid of Joel McHale's Mark was a way to symbolize Mark Kincaid fully canonizing him as Sydney's love interest, and finishing off Roman the best way freaking possible. And I really think that I added way more to this interpretation of Scream 7 than I did with the Jill Roberts story, because there is far more to work with now that more has come out for it. And it's also been a minute since the Jill Roberts one was done. I also decided to still bring back Dewey and not show Jill Roberts at the end, because I was going to basically link the two stories together, Jill and Roman, but I feel that they're best done separately and could always go back for a sequel. So here's what I'm thinking. If you guys have checked out the Jill Roberts survival story where I teased Dewey for Ghostface Scream 8 in that interpretation, definitely give it a rewatch and let me know in the comments of this story if you really want to see that happen, because that's still open until Scream 7 comes out. And at which point, if we don't got a choice, I'm just going to not do it. And if the Joe Roberts story doesn't get enough love or interest, or this one doesn't, both of these suggestions that I'm going to be offering to you guys will sort of be on the back burner, kind of like an Omni Games 2. Because I used to do more free and open, like, remakes or sequels, but I definitely want to leave it to you guys so I know that you guys are interested. Anyways, the whole message of this was to make another Scream 7 interpretation, except this time put more in to what we already know is happening, rather than kind of making my own fan-made Scream 7 with Joe Roberts. And I feel that I did a pretty freaking solid job. And if this story, you guys want to see it continue with, like, Joe Roberts surviving into a fan-made Scream 8, or if you want some kind of continuation with this, let me know. If you feel it's best left untouched, I feel that way too. The Joe Roberts one is definitely way more open for a sequel than the story here. But hey, let me know in the comments of both stories if you want to see one or both of them, or just leave them both as is. With all that said, I really hope you guys enjoyed this interpretation of Roman Bridger surviving, since it's basically like a true video that we're, like, since Scott Foley's only coming back for Roman as, like, basically a hallucination or dream, I don't think we're ever going to get him coming back. And Stu Macher's video, that was done as analysis because, come on, he could have come back in every single frickin' movie, and it's basically confirmed Scream 7's bringing him back. So, with all that said, hope you guys enjoyed Roman Bridger's survival, and I will see you guys in What If Henry Stayed Indestructible and Henry Danger. And I'll see you guys later.